Listen up, my friend. There's a kind of man out there. No, not the loud one who needs to be seen, but the silent one who doesn't even have to try. The man who walks into a room and doesn't say a damn word, yet everyone feels it. His presence is thunder without a single sound. He doesn't chase attention or beg for respect. He owns it. And it's not because of luck or some quick trick. It's because he's got habits that cut deeper than any sword. Habits forged in silence, in solitude, in those brutal nights when he didn't need applause to keep going. You know that feeling in your chest, that part of you that wants to roar but doesn't know how. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Because the world will tell you to be soft, to play it safe, to keep the peace. But the world doesn't care if you break yourself into pieces trying to fit in. No, what matters is what's left standing when the noise fades. What matters is the fire that doesn't ask for permission. It just burns. Today, we're not here to talk about some feel-good philosophy or motivational nonsense. We're here to talk about power, real power, the kind that can't be manipulated or controlled because it's built from the inside out, the kind of power that makes people step back when you walk in. So if you're ready to stop being played and start playing your own game, stick around. These 5 brutal Stoic habits will show you exactly how to do it. No sugarcoating, no excuses, just the raw, unfiltered truth you need to hear. And trust me, once you master these, no one, absolutely no one, will be able to mess with you again. All right, so let's set the record straight right now. You've probably heard it all before, right? Stay positive. Stay humble. Just go with the flow. That's all good and fine, until life decides to throw you into the fire. And here's the thing, life doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're comfortable. It'll test you anyway. It'll throw you into storms you didn't ask for and strip away everything you thought you were. But that's where it all begins. That's where you either crumble or you get sharp. Now, I'm not here to tell you to turn into some emotionless robot or to act like you're too tough for the world. That's not what this is about. What it's really about is learning how to harness that part of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, and definitely doesn't beg. Because here's the truth. Most people let their fears, their doubts, their need for validation control every move they make. And you're not most people. Not if you're ready to wake up and start playing by your own rules. Think about it like this. Marcus Aurelius didn't need to post his thoughts on Instagram to be remembered. Epictetus didn't need a crowd to feel important. They lived by principles that were sharp enough to carve through any nonsense the world threw at them. And they didn't care if you liked them for it. They knew their worth. They knew that real power isn't about what you show, it's about what you live. So that's what this video is about. Not to give you some fake confidence or a quick fix. I want to hand you something real. I want to hand you 5 habits that'll forge a version of you that doesn't just survive in this world, but commands it quietly, fiercely, and without apology. And trust me, these aren't feel-good habits. They're not cozy or soft. They're the kind of habits that'll make people back up when you walk in, because they'll feel that you're not someone they can play games with. Before we dig in, just remember one thing. This isn't about pretending to be strong. This is about becoming so strong on the inside that nothing on the outside can touch you. Ready? Let's get into it. Before we go any further, I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It's a small action, but it helps me keep creating content like this and keeps the fire alive for Stoic insights. If you're new here and you're hungry for more ways to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit, consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you're the first to know when the next piece of this puzzle drops. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's keep this journey going together. Habit 1. Learn to enjoy being feared for the right reasons. Let's clear something up from the start. Being feared doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean walking around like you're looking for a fight. No, being feared for the right reasons is about having such strong energy, such deep self-respect, that people feel it before they even understand it. You don't have to speak loudly. You don't have to explain yourself. Your presence alone is enough to shake up the weak. You walk in calm, silent, focused, and people adjust themselves without even realizing why. That's real power. The world today teaches you to be liked, to fit in, to apologize for being bold. But let's be honest, has trying to be liked ever actually made you feel respected? Probably not. Because approval chasers don't get respect. They get used, they get walked on, they get ignored when it matters. Now compare that to the man who doesn't chase anything. He doesn't need validation. He doesn't explain every move he makes. And that mystery, that confidence, it's magnetic and intimidating because people can't control what they don't understand. And the world fears what it can't control. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, said it best, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." That applies to everything. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. Let go of that fear and you start doing things differently. You move different. You act with purpose, not permission. Now let me ask you something real. Tell me in the comments, have you ever found yourself shrinking just to keep the peace, just to avoid being too much? Be honest. The truth is, they'll label your strength as arrogance, your boundaries as cold, your silence as rude. And that's fine. Let them misunderstand you. Let them guess. You don't owe the world softness just so it can use it against you later. Here's your practical takeaway. Start walking like your presence is a privilege. Speak like your words are a verdict. And if they don't get you, let your absence teach them what your presence used to give for free. Stop chasing approval. Start being the man they can't figure out, but know not to mess with. That's not ego, that's earned silence. That's Stoic power. Habit 2. Never let your emotions speak before you. Here's the thing about emotions. They're wild, they're messy, and if you're not careful, they'll run your life into the ground faster than you can blink. We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when you feel the heat rise in your chest, when every part of you wants to lash out, to say the first thing that pops into your mind just to feel better. But here's the hard truth. Every time you let your emotions speak before you do, you're handing your power over to someone else. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength." That's not just some fancy phrase. It's the ultimate test of your self-mastery. Because emotions are temporary, but the consequences of letting them lead, those can stick around a lot longer. Have you ever sent a text you regretted? Said something in anger that you wished you could take back? Of course you have. We all have. That's the cost of letting emotions take the wheel. And the worst part? The world doesn't care if you were just feeling some type of way. It'll use those outbursts against you. It'll file them away like ammunition to use when it's convenient. Think about it like this. Your emotions are like wild dogs chained in your chest. They bark, they bite, they want to be heard. But you're the master of that pack. You decide if they're let out or if they stay chained up. Because when You let them loose without thinking. You're not in control. You're predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. Now, I want you to really sit with this. Tell me in the comments, have you ever let your emotions get the best of you? And what did it cost you? Be real with yourself. Here's your takeaway. It's not about never feeling anything. Stoicism isn't about becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It's about learning to pause, to breathe, to let the storm pass before you decide how to act. Because the man who can control his emotions, even in the worst moments, is the man who controls everything. When you master this, you're not just reacting, you're responding with calm, with precision. And that's not weakness, my friend. That's unshakable power, the kind no one can use against you. Habit 3. Build your life in the dark, speak through results. Here's something no one tells you. Real strength isn't built under bright lights. It's built in the dark, when no one's watching, when there's no applause, no praise, and no crowd cheering you on, because that's when it's just you, your ambition, and the silence that asks, how bad do you want it? Most people, they're addicted to being seen. They want everyone to know about their plans, their dreams, their hustle. They post every move, every flex, every thought, because they're hungry for validation. But here's the truth. Validation is cheap. It's temporary. And it's never as satisfying as doing the work in silence and letting your results speak. For you, Marcus Aurelius didn't write those meditations for the world to see. He wrote them for himself, in the dark, when he needed them most. That's the way you have to think about your own life. Build in silence. Grow in secret. Let your results be the only thing that announces you to the world. I want you to remember those moments when you were grinding late at night, when you felt alone in your struggle, when no one even knew how hard you were working. Those moments, that's where legends are born. Because anyone can look impressive in the spotlight, but it's the work you do in the shadows that really matters. And let me ask you, tell me in the comments, what's something you've been working on quietly that no one else knows about? What's the goal you're building in the dark? I want to hear about it. Here's your takeaway. Stop announcing every move. Stop explaining your dreams to people who don't understand your fire. Let them think you're quiet. Let them think you've disappeared. Because when you finally emerge, your presence alone will be the storm that shakes everything up. That's real power. That's the kind of power you build when you're not begging to be noticed. You're just working, grinding, sharpening your mind and your soul until you're too solid to ignore. And trust me, when you live like that, your silence becomes louder than any words ever could. Habit 4. Destroy neediness and master detachment. Neediness. Let's call it what it is. It's poison. It's the quiet killer of your self-respect. The silent thief that robs you of your peace. And the worst part, it's sneaky. It starts small, like checking your phone every 5 seconds to see if they replied. Wondering if you said the right thing. Wondering if you're enough. But let me tell you the truth. Neediness isn't love. It isn't connection. It's a cage you built yourself. Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. And you know what? You'll never find freedom if you're constantly chasing someone else's approval. Because the more you crave their attention, the more they control you. The more you wait for them to choose you, the more you forget who you are. We've all been there. You send that text and then sit there, waiting like your whole worth depends on 3 dots. You see them post something and your mind spins out, making up stories that don't even exist. And the worst part? The longer you wait, the smaller you feel. like you're shrinking to fit into a life that was never yours to begin with. But here's the thing, detachment isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about remembering that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's validation. It's about knowing that you're enough, even if no one else sees it, even if no one else claps for you. Because the man who doesn't need approval, he's the man they can't manipulate. He's the one they can't control. Here's a real question for you. Tell me in the comments, have you ever found yourself craving someone's attention so badly it felt like it was eating you alive? How did you pull yourself out of that? The takeaway here is simple. Neediness will always shrink you. Detachment will always free you. And the beautiful part, when you stop chasing, you start growing. When you stop begging to be chosen, you start choosing yourself. So let them think you're cold. Let them say you've changed. Good. Because you're not here to be everyone's comfort. You're here to build a life so strong, so full, that no one's absence can break it. That's real freedom. That's Stoic power. And that's how you become the man no one can play with, because you're not playing at all. Habit 5. Embrace loneliness and turn it into your superpower. Let's be real about something. Loneliness isn't pretty. It's not soft. It's not the kind of sadness you see in movies with a sad song playing in the background. No, loneliness is raw. It's brutal. It's the silence that cuts deeper than any words ever could. But here's the thing. They won't tell you this, but that silence, that's your forge. That's where you're reborn. You see, when you're surrounded by people, it's easy to get lost in the noise. It's easy to forget what you're really made of. But when it's just you, in that dark room with nothing but your thoughts, that's when you find out exactly who you are. That's when you meet the part of you that doesn't care about applause or company. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, knew what it meant to stand alone. He said, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing." That's loneliness. It's the small steps you take in the quiet, the tiny victories no one else sees. And those steps, they're what build you into something unbreakable. I know it's not easy. We've all felt that crushing silence late at night, that feeling that no one gets it, that no one cares. But guess what? That's your chance. That's the moment you either let it break you or you use it to become the strongest version of yourself. Because when you can stand alone and not flinch, you're unstoppable. You don't need anyone to tell you you're enough. You don't need anyone to validate your journey. You're not looking for the world's permission to keep moving forward. So here's my question for you. Tell me in the comments, what have you learned about yourself in those lonely nights? What has that quiet taught you about your own strength? Here's the takeaway. Loneliness is not a punishment. It's an invitation to become the man who doesn't need to be seen to know his own worth. The man who doesn't need noise to feel whole. The man who, when the world goes quiet, only grows louder inside. That's real power, that's real presence. And when you master that, you're not just someone who survives loneliness. You're someone who turns it into the superpower that can't be taken away. The one they can't see coming until it's too late. So there you have it. 5 brutal Stoic habits that don't just make you stronger. They make you untouchable. Not because you're loud, not because you're playing some fake alpha role, but because you're so solid on the inside that nothing on the outside can shake you. That's the real edge, my friend. That's the kind of power that no one can fake and no one can manipulate. These habits aren't about impressing anyone. They're about building a version of yourself that doesn't fold under pressure, a version that doesn't chase approval or beg for validation, a version that walks in silence, but leaves a mark so loud that the world has no choice but to take. Remember, this isn't about some quick fix. It's about the small choices you make every single day. The choice to stay calm when your emotions want to explode. The choice to grind in the dark, even when no one's cheering you on. The choice to walk away from what doesn't serve you, no matter how much it hurts. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what they see, it's about what you know. It's about knowing that you're here to build, to grow, and to become someone no one can play games with. That's the kind of man the world can't figure out and can never break. So if you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future insights on Stoicism and self-improvement. Share it with someone who needs a reminder of their own strength. And tell me in the comments, what habit are you going to work on first? Which one hit home the hardest for you? Remember, you're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected, to be felt. And when you master these habits, that's exactly what you'll become. A man who doesn't chase because he's already enough.